Hey, what's up, guys? John here. Over the last couple of years, I think what we've experienced, a lot of us anyway, have experienced, is pretty crazy radical implications on business owners, small business owners, entrepreneurs. You know, the whole thing about eat the rich and pursuing the wealthy, and we need to steal from. Basically, they say they want to steal from the rich and give to the poor, but the reality is they want to steal from the middle and give to the bottom, making themselves much stronger in the process. And that's exactly what is happening in a place like California. California is going absolutely crazy. I believe it's more of like the gateway state. You know, when you're in high school, they say, don't do the gateway drug because it's going to lead to everything else. That's exactly what's happening in California. California is the gateway state. And if you look at a lot of the policies that have happened in California the last couple of years, and by the way, I love California. This isn't like trashing California, although their policies are basically horrible for small business owners and entrepreneurs. And they're essentially ruining the state, but nothing against people that live in California. If things were not how they were right now, I would be in California. In fact, my wife is going there on Friday, and she's going to go hang out there for like 9 days with her family. I would otherwise go, but I'm not. I'm just going to stay here in Florida. But this is nuts. Like they're going to increase the cost of utilities for people that are quote unquote high income earners. If you make 180 grand a year, which let's face it, 5 years ago that was like a high income earner. 180 grand a year, like you were living really good. You could probably, rent a beautiful house and go on vacation, do all these things. But what is 180 grand a year now in California? What is it, like 15 grand a month? Right? 15 grand a month, you're paying 20%, maybe a little bit more in state tax plus 25% in federal. You're basically giving half your income away, right? And so that 180 grand goes to 9 grand. It goes to about 7 grand a month. What does 7 grand a month get you in California now, right? 7 grand a month, you're probably getting a 1-bedroom apartment for probably $3,100, $2,700. And then you're left with what, 4 grand? And then with $1,000 a week, you have a cell phone bill, you have car payment probably, credit card bills, food, gas, utilities, car insurance. You got it all together. What are you left with? $1,000, $1,500 at the end of the month, right? And then at the end of the year, you're left with 18 grand. So basically 10% of your income possibly saved. But now what they're trying to do is get that 10%, right? Because they need to take that money to help people that are less fortunate. But the sad part of this whole thing is that I believe this is only just the beginning. And especially as we start to see some of these really big changes take foot, we can see where this actually goes. And this is why I believe tax planning right now is extremely important, and really paying attention to what's going on is going to be really important for yourself and your family, because it's very clear, it's very evident what is going to be happening, which is going to be robotics, technology, a lot of job loss. And who is going to fund these universal basic income packages? Who's going to fund all of this? It's going to be them, the people that are quote unquote the wealthy, right? But as they continue to print more money and erode the purchasing power of the dollar, what is that ultimately going to do? It's going to make the less fortunate grow even more, and this majority is then going to start, there's going to be that class warfare. Ray Dalio actually even talked about this. He said that the odds of a civil war is very possible. And I can see why, right? Because we're going to start to see a lot of angry people in this world, as they say. Take a look at this. Utility companies in California may soon start charging customers based on income. Major utility companies in California may soon charge customers based on how much they make, and that number is 180 grand a year, and it's $85 more per month. So basically a cell phone bill, $85 a month, $85 more per month. So basically $1,000 a month, or a year, excuse me. But if we look at what's happening in California too, right? So it's this landlord, they're behind 120 grand in rent payments. This came out last month. But in LA County alone, over 850,000 renters behind on rent. Right? Who's going to be holding the bag on that? It's going to be the entrepreneurs, the business owners, the small mom and pop landlords, people that bought their first deal or second deal 15, 20 years ago and held on to these deals, right? And so you have the tenants that were very, very upset, because the tenants thought, hey, Newsom said that he was going to take care of all this back rent, never did. Then you have the landlords upset saying, hey, it's not their responsibility, it's the tenant's responsibility. I signed a lease with the tenant, not the state. But ultimately, you have the tenants on one side, the landlords on the other, divided, and that's exactly what I believe they wanted. So you have the landlords and tenants against one another, and now they're taking from the landlords even more, the property owners, the people that have, many of which have done well for themselves over the lifetime of their business endeavors. But as this is happening, state quietly raises marginal income tax to 14%, 14.4% start next year. But they're also increasing minimum wage. So if it's very clear, if you can't tell, the state's job now, and it has been this way for a while, but it's getting much, much more aggressive, this push, is to continue to quote unquote fight for inequality, right? The ending of inequality and to level the playing field. But how can business owners, and what that actually means is leveling the middle class and empowering themselves further, but how do people at $16 an hour, $17 an hour make it in California? They don't, right? Like point blank, they do not. $640 a week, took them $2,560 a month if they're working 40 hours a week. A one-bedroom apartment, even in like a rough area, it's probably $1,600 a month, right? So it's still 60% of gross take home, 60%, not including all your other expenses. You're not going to find people for $2,560. Maybe you'll find them for $4,000, right? Even at $4,000, it might be kind of hard. So at $4,000, you have 4 employees, that's $16,000 a month plus state and federal taxes, plus just being in California, you have probably a higher probability of theft and robbery and stuff like that, because a lot of these laws are basically you get a slap on the wrist in California. Like they were looking at this before. They were saying crime jumped 11.6% last year. It's because if you, like LA riders bail on metro trains amid horror of deadly drug, things are getting bad in California. Like just point blank, things are getting bad. But the top 5% of income earners pay 70% of all the tax. So what do you think ultimately happens? Like what I think ultimately is going to happen is every time that they push for a new, crazier measure, they push out a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, a lot of these people that pay these taxes. And so when you have a large chunk of people that are paying these taxes that are getting disincentivized to stay there, they're going to leave. And you're starting to see that right now. So, San Francisco office vacancy rates hits new high. People are just like, why am I going to be in a city with record high crime, record high taxes, and business policies that are going to impact me and my family from seeing success? And so as that is all happening, we have to really look at what is going to happen. This is AI is about to decimate millions of jobs. It's time for universal basic income. They say it's an opinion piece, but you start to look at how big universal basic income is. Like, for example, I'll just look it up right now. Universal basic income, and we'll just go all 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. They're pushing for universal basic income almost everywhere. And so if you look at what states have them, so it's quite clear that it's coming to a lot of different areas. And as we start to see more and more and more layoffs, we're going to start to see, like, look, Alaska, Pittsburgh, Columbia, Chicago, New Orleans, Newark, New York State, Rochester, Chevensport, California, of course. You have all these different places. What's going to happen? Who's going to fund it? It's going to be the high income earners. So when you see stuff like this like Universal or this utility companies, they want to start charging customers more. This is what's going to happen when we start to see more and more and more jobs get let go, is they are going to need revenue to tax it, to fund all these universal basic income pilot programs, all this stuff. So I believe that one of the most important things people can do right now is proper tax planning, making sure they get out of high income or high interest debt, high interest credit card debt, making sure that they have all the ducks in a row, because I believe we're stepping into the greatest wealth transfer of all time, and you want to be positioned for it. If you know how to fix your credit, we'd love to help you at GreatCreditFast.com. That's GreatCreditFast.com. You can give us a call at 561-430-5900. But what do you think about this? Drop your comments below. Do you think that utility companies, you should be charged more for utilities because you've worked harder, right, or smarter, or you've been really goal oriented? But do you think that you should pay an extra $85 per month for your utilities, right? If you have two children, $85, that could feed them, at least one of them for the week, right? You could take them out, go grocery shopping, that could feed one of your children for the week. But because of your ambition, you should be paying $85 more per week? Or do you think that it's just horrible policies for the state, and it is bad for business and bad for capitalism in the state of California? But then again, it's capitalism and California. They probably don't really kind of belong in the same sentence, unfortunately. I wish it wasn't the case, because I feel like California is it probably has the most going for it than any other state in the country. Like if you actually look at what it has, incredible weather. I mean, you can go surfing and snowboard in the same day. It's almost like its own country inside of a state. Like if you look at, it's just like California has so much going for it, but they're pushing a lot of great people out. They're pushing a lot of great people out. Over 500,000 people left California just in the last 3 years, and I think that number is actually going to continue to grow. At least the high income earners. Of the 500,000 people that left, I guarantee a good percentage of those were high income earners. Like you saw Joe Rogan, Tesla, all these big companies. A lot of corporations were leaving. Even Larry Ellison's company, Oracle. A lot of these big companies that were producing billions and billions and billions of dollars in revenue, high income jobs. Great opportunities. They all left the state. I think it's the beginning. But I'm curious as to what you think. Do you think we're going to start to see more radical landlord-tenant laws take place in the state of California? I think so. I really do think so. I had a situation in California. It was a nightmare situation just a couple years ago. And this thing dragged on and on and on and on. But it was so crazy, like this tenant basically tried to extort me. And it was so crazy because when we were going to settle, we were going to try to make the whole thing go away. The attorney that was representing me said, because of the way that I look versus how the tenant looks, they would view me, most likely inside of the courthouse in downtown LA, as someone that is from I have a higher likelihood of making more money and have more potential than the tenant. And because of that, it wouldn't really matter so much to the merits of the case, but based on the jury may find that the tenant is more deserving of money and of a better outcome than myself. And so like when I heard that, it was pretty crazy, right? It's pretty crazy, but it was kind of a dose of reality to like what's going on in California. California, it's getting crazy. So drop below, hit the like button, subscribe right on my second channel, and again, if you know fixed credit, we'd love to help you. And add me on IG for short form content. Catch you guys later.